This is our final project on a Civil War unit by Michelle Della Rosa, Shar Doring, and Dawn Kanichke. For our final project, we decided to visually improve 2 lessons from a Civil War unit for 7th grade social studies students. In this unit, students will learn how to compare and contrast the economic, social, political, geographic, and technological differences between the North and South as it relates to the American Civil War. In addition, they look at the strengths and weaknesses of the Union and the Confederacy as it applies to industrial, transportation, and agriculture, technologies, and labor. Students are in a 7th grade social studies class. This is a co-taught classroom with 29 students. There are 14 female and 15 male students containing 1 African American student, 4 Asian students, 2 Caucasian students, 1 multi-race student, and 14 Hispanic students. Of these students, 6 have an IEP, which is an individualized education plan. 7 of the students are English language learners, and 1 student has a medical alert. The students' Illinois Assessment of Readiness scores vary from a 4 or 5 and then have 3, 2, or 1. Having this information allows us to focus on the students having in a diverse schema on how the U.S. began colonization. Knowing the above information, coupled with the knowledge of the multiple learning characteristics and theories, will greatly influence how the lessons will be designed and implemented. We have our Common Core state standards that we follow, as well as our Illinois priority standards. Our teaching and learning strategies, our objectives will be that students will be able to analyze and interpret primary sources and documents. They will be able to use textual evidence to support analysis of all sources. They will be able to explain the causes and effects that led up to the Civil War. They will be able to explain how humans and the environment affect one another. They will be able to explain the causes for people's perspective to change over time. And they will be able to analyze visual information presented in either print or digital text. The main technology that will be used will be individual use of the Chromebook and specific websites designed to fit the activities. One of the key tools being utilized will be accessing the website classtools.net. This is an activity construction website that allows the student to utilize an already created template or construct their own in order to augment their day-to-day lessons. The technology tools will be used in the unit to motivate, model, and elicit a transfer of the causes that led to the Civil War. Another useful technology added would be an online simulation tool by Active History. This tool would be used to create an American Civil War simulation where the students will be given a series of military, economic, and political problems to deal with. This adds value in that the students will not only critically think to solve the problem, but also choose a course of action which they think the president took in real life. This makes the lesson more effective because each student participating in the simulation would feel a sense of accomplishment. This social studies unit on the Civil War will occur over a 5-day period. Our school is on a block schedule. On the first day of the unit, students will learn about the life in antebellum. We will explain to the students that the word antebellum means before the war. Students will split into groups, and each group will be given a different primary source on one of the 5 groups of people in pre-Civil War times. Then a jigsaw activity will be used to present the 5 groups of people after primary sources were read. For this activity, students will create an antebellum online crossword puzzle. Then, on the second day of class, the students will focus on slavery in America. The lesson will start with an introduction to the topic of slavery. Students will then complete a Remembering Dred Scott activity. Lastly, students will create a slavery KL chart online by sharing a Google Doc with partners. For day 3 of this unit, students will help Abraham Lincoln select his general to lead his Union Army into the fields. Students will choose the individual who they feel is best qualified by his education and experience and background, as well as whom they think will turn out to be the most successful commander and leader of the Union Army. The activities will ask students to view candidates' profile cards and make a comparison chart of the candidates. To visually change this activity, students will now create a fake book profile for each candidate and vote for the candidate that will lead the Union Army. The students will have the ability to view each profile and vote for the best candidate. Students can also add their comments and be able to debate through the comment section. We chose to change from a paper copy to a fake book profile to decrease the load on the working memory capacity. Allowing the students to form groups and create the profile will help the students to focus their attention to the activity with a single page. In addition to the creation of the page, the elements of color, size, and framing allow the students to see a further integrated form of spatial continuity, which aids students in producing higher performance because the cognitive demand was decreased. The fake book page uses the color blue as the background for the profile picture. This again demonstrates the decrease in the working capacity of memory because, according to the article, which brand colors encourage you to buy, blue stands for security, productivity, and calmness of mind. So students will be better able to retain the information presented on the fake book page. The color blue background with the white font would make it more readable, especially for our students who struggle with a visual discriminant between the background and words. Therefore, the learner is able to focus their attention on the comprehension of each candidate's profile in order to participate in the online debate. The creation of the fake book page would allow for the immediate transfer of images and information quickly, which in turn allows immediate feedback between the students. Being able to respond to posts as they occur decrease the delay in responding to the information presented. As a result, student participation should increase within the class, with the white font would make it more readable, especially for our students who struggle with visual discriminant between the background and words. For day 4 of the unit, the students will be analyzing the causes of the Civil War. Students will become exposed to the ugliness of war, the horror of pain and suffering, and the destruction of many lives as they reenact the Civil War battle. Students who take on the role of generals and make the same decisions which affected the fates of soldiers fighting in battle. Originally, to do this reenactment, students would complete a game using low-tech material such as printed material on cardstock. To visually enhance the causes of the Civil War activity, students will participate in the American Civil War simulation tool on their Chromebook instead of using printed material on cardstock. This simulation game allows the student to complete the same activity, but augmented. In the simulation game, students will take the role of an advisor to either the President Davis or President Lincoln. They must choose a course of action which they think their president took in real life. The use of this activity is visually engage the students right from the start as they interact with the simulation. In addition to interacting visually, students can also click on the vocab links with the simulation to aid in comprehension of content. The simulation utilizes a timeline for the students as they work through each inquiry to advise the president. Using timelines to visually represent supports the text on the pages and organizes information in order for students to be able to imagine movement of time and space. Timelines also show the rise and fall of the Confederate Army as it occurred in history. The simulation activity helps some of our students who have movement and attention needs. The simulation fills the stimulus seeking demands of students with attention deficit. Also, the stimulation provides enrichment for students who are able to critically think, thus create a higher level of comprehension of the material presented. In addition, students who have processing delays benefit from the simulation since they can work at their own pace. The visuals positioned with the space of each document inquiry page of the simulation generates a 3D for both President Lincoln or President Davis, which aids in grabbing the attention of the learner. For example, the light blue background color and the image of the American flag above Lincoln gives him a 3D effect. The color blue also lets us know that the information on Lincoln is factual. Also, although the questions change on each page of the simulation, the visual remains the same. Using the same visuals reinforce the idea that this person was of importance during the Civil War. For day 5 of the unit, the focus will be on the election of 1860. 4 students will be asked to play the role of either Lincoln, Douglas, Breckinridge, and Bell. These students will read a speech in front of the class. The rest of the students will listen to the candidate's speech and take notes on the main idea and which candidate makes the most impact. To offer the students a differentiation, we will have the documents available on Google Classroom. Some text will be read to students. Headphones can be provided. Also, FM devices for students with hearing impairment. We also have mixed ability groups, and we can also include peer scribes. To assess students' learning of content, teachers will review the exit tickets, fake book page, simulation activity, responses, and finally a summative writing from a document-based question prompt. The students will answer the question, what were the causes that led to the Civil War? Students will be given several primary sources to cite their evidence. They must give reasoning as to why they chose a particular piece of evidence. This will serve as a summative grade. A copy of the rubric is provided to the students ahead of time in order to know what the expectations are. Also, students will need to create a visual representation that shows the causes that led to the Civil War. This unit is an example of augmentation modification. Throughout the unit, various technologies is used to provide more functionality. For example, on the online Venn diagram, students are able to collaborate and fill out more documents together as to complete the same task but allow students immediate feedback with their input. Another example would be the simulation activity as the students realize the effects of their choices and how that can change the outcome. This activity would not be possible without the use of technology. We have accessed many outside resources that have allowed us to add these specific additional pieces to our unit as listed here. We also have several references that we used, including the classtools.net and the American Civil War simulation.